Okay, so you're craving soup, but not just any soup.
Yeah.
You're looking for creamy, dreamy bowls of comfort,
That's right.
but you also want them to be quick and healthy.
Of course.
Who doesn't?
And we get it. We've all been there.
Yeah.
So for this deep dive, we've got a whole stack of recipes that are all about creamy soups that won't take over your whole evening.
Exactly. We're talking 30 minutes or less, from
Yeah.
stove to table.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And you know what's really interesting? I'm seeing that a lot of these recipes,
Yeah,
they get that creamy texture without using heavy cream.
that's right. And that's what makes these soups so exciting. They use all these different techniques to get that luxurious mouthfeel. Like take the cauliflower loaded baked potato soup, for example. It
Yeah.
uses pureed cauliflower as the base privis. Cauliflower is naturally lower in calories and carbs compared to potatoes, but it also breaks down so beautifully when you cook it
Yeah.
and creates this velvety smooth texture. And then they top it with all the classic loaded baked potato toppings.
You get all the indulgence without the guilt.
Now, I'm also noticing some really interesting flavor combinations here.
Yeah.
Like, there's a Thai coconut chicken soup that caught my eye, but I have to admit, I'm a little scared of spice.
Well, this recipe is all about balance. The coconut milk adds that creamy richness,
Okay.
but it also like cools down the heat from the chilies. And then there's lime juice in there too, which adds a great acidic note that helps to kind of cut through the spice even more. It's like this flavor dance
I love that.
with each ingredient playing its part.
Okay, so we've got healthy, we've got flavorful. What about creative? Give me something unexpected.
How about a soup inspired by a viral chicken dish?
Ooh, okay.
There's a Marry Me chicken soup in here.
Really?
That takes all those amazing elements from that internet famous recipe.
I did that one.
Yeah, the creamy sauce, the sun-dried tomatoes, and it turns them into a hearty soup.
Okay, now I'm intrigued. And tell me, is it true what they say about that dish? Does it really lead to mayor's proposals?
Well, I can't promise you a ring, but I can tell you it's a delicious and clever adaptation. They even add zucchini and carrots
Oh, nice.
for extra veggies. And using pre-cooked chicken keeps it super fast.
Speaking of fast, I'm seeing some recipes here that start with boxed soup as a base.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
The box soup upgrades. It's a genius strategy for busy weeknights.
Yeah?
You know, like that roasted red pepper soup.
Yay.
It's good on its own, but you can really elevate it by adding chickpeas for protein
No.
and spinach for extra nutrients and a vibrant green color. It's all about being creative,
Right.
making the most of convenient ingredients.
Totally. Okay, so we've talked about using cauliflower and chickpeas to make
Right.
these soups creamy and hearty.
Mm-hmm.
What other surprising ingredients are we playing with here?
Well, let's talk about the radish soup.
Radish soup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You might think of radishes as just, a crunchy salad topping.
Yeah.
But when you cook them, their flavor totally changes. That bitterness mellows out, and you're left with this, really nice sweetness and a subtle, earthy flavor.
I've never even thought of making soup out of radishes. Is there like a trick to getting that creamy texture?
It's all about the magic of blending.
Okay.
Once the radishes are cooked until they're tender,
Yeah.
you just puree them
Got it.
until they're smooth. And if you use those smaller, bright red radishes,
Yeah.
you end up with a soup that's not only delicious, but also visually stunning
Oh, wow.
with this beautiful pink hue.
Okay, that one is going on my must-try list for sure.
Yeah.
Speaking of unexpected ingredients,
Yeah.
I see a recipe here for clam chowder
Uh-huh.
that uses broccoli stems.
Ah, yes. That's one of my favorite tips from this whole collection.
Really?
People always throw away the stems,
I know.
but they actually hold up way better than the florets when you cook them in soups
Oh, interesting.
and stews. They add a nice subtle flavor, and it's a great way to, cut down on food waste.
Yeah, it's like a secret ingredient hiding in plain sight.
It's exactly.
Now, I am a huge fan of butternut squash,
Oh, yeah.
and I'm seeing it in a bunch of these recipes.
Butternut squash is so versatile for soups, especially creamy ones.
Yeah.
It has that natural sweetness that goes with so many flavors.
Okay.
Like the butternut squash mac and cheese soup.
Okay.
It's like a fun twist on a classic,
Yeah.
It uses the squash's sweetness to kind of mimic that cheesy flavor
Right.
without going overboard on the dairy.
So it's a healthier take on mac and cheese.
Exact.
But you still get that creamy, comforting goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what about this 3-ingredient tomato soup?
Oh, yeah.
That sounds almost too good to be true.
It's incredibly simple, but don't let that fool you. It's packed with flavor.
Okay.
And you're right. It only uses 3 ingredients:
Okay.
tomatoes, onion, and broth.
Wow.
The key is to roast the tomatoes and the onion first.
Oh, I see.
That really deepens their flavor.
Yeah.
And then you just blend them with the broth.
Got it.
And you can add a dollop of cream or coconut milk at the end for some extra richness if you like.
It's amazing how much flavor you can get with just a few simple ingredients. Of course, we can't forget about the classic creamy chicken noodle soup.
Oh, of course not.
But this one has a pot pie twist.
Exactly. It's all about taking a familiar favorite and giving it a little something extra.
Yeah.
They use rotisserie chicken to save time.
Right.
And then add in those classic pot pie flavors, carrots, peas, and a touch of poultry seasoning.
So good.
It's like a comforting bowl of nostalgia with a sophisticated twist.
And to top it all off, we have that genius idea of using roasted chickpeas as croutons on the butternut squash soup.
I love that.
I love that for a little crunch and extra protein.
Absolutely. It's a healthy and delicious way to add texture to creamy soups.
For sure.
And the chickpeas get nice and crispy when you roast them.
Yeah.
They're almost like little nutty croutons.
Okay, so we've covered quite a few recipes here, but I feel like we keep coming back to that Marry Me chicken soup. Is there something I'm missing here?
Well, apart from its catchy name, the Marry Me chicken soup really speaks to that theme of adaptability.
Okay.
It takes a popular dish and turns it into a soup.
Yeah.
Which I think is pretty clever.
You're right. It's a great example of how versatile these recipes are.
For sure.
And who knows? Maybe it really will live up to its name.
You never know.
And spark some romance in the kitchen.
Now, wouldn't that be a delicious outcome?
It would.
But even without the marriage proposals,
right.
I think these recipes offer something really valuable.
What's that?
The ability to make flavorful, healthy meals that don't require hours slaving away over a hot stove.
As much as I love all these chicken soups, I feel like we're missing a key player in the creamy soup world. Mushrooms.
Oh, you're so right. How could we forget about creamy mushroom soup?
Right.
This recipe is really interesting because of the technique they use.
Okay.
They puree like half the soup to get that silky smooth texture.
Yeah.
But they leave the other half with chunks of mushrooms.
Oh, I like that.
For a more rustic, hearty feel.
So you get the best of both worlds.
Exactly.
And I see the recipe calls for parsley and tarragon. I'm guessing those aren't just for looks.
Not at all. Fresh herbs add so much vibrancy to soups.
Yeah.
Both in terms of flavor and, how they look.
For sure.
Parsley and tarragon in particular.
Yeah.
They really complement those earthy notes in the mushrooms.
It's all about those little details
Right.
that elevate a simple soup.
Exactly.
Speaking of special,
Yeah.
there's a butternut squash soup here with the brown sugar twist.
Oh, yeah.
That sounds almost like dessert.
It does have a touch of sweetness,
Right.
but it's balanced out by the savory notes of the squash.
Okay.
And they use fat-free evaporated milk for the creamy texture,
Oh, interesting.
which is a great way to keep it light without sacrificing that richness.
So we've explored a whole world of creamy soups.
We have.
Quick, healthy, and full of flavor. What have we learned from this deep dive?
I think the biggest takeaway is that soups are incredibly versatile.
Yeah.
We've seen how you can take simple ingredients and turn them into these comforting and delicious meals.
For sure.
With just a little bit of creativity.
And we learned that creamy doesn't have to mean heavy.
That's a good point.
These recipes use some really clever techniques and substitutions to get that luxurious texture without using tons of cream or butter.
Exactly. And here's a final thought for you.
Okay.
A lot of these soups can be served hot or cold.
Oh, that's true.
And you can really customize the toppings.
Well, no.
Don't be afraid to experiment.
That's a great point. Imagine a chilled radish soup
Ooh.
with a dollop of Greek yogurt and fresh herbs.
So good.
Or that butternut squash soup
Yeah.
with some toasted pumpkin seeds and a drizzle of maple syrup.
Ooh, I love that.
The possibilities are endless.
Right. Use what you have on hand. Play with different flavor combinations. You might just discover your new favorite cozy soup.
So there you have it. A deep dive into the world of creamy soups.
That's right.
Packed with inspiration to keep you warm and satisfied all season long.
Absolutely.
Happy cooking!